Hey everybody, happy Thursday to you. Hope you're doing well. Pastor Mark here. Have you ever planted a garden? Have you ever planted a seed, whether it's a flower garden, vegetable garden, fruit trees, whatever that may look like? A couple weeks ago, my parents were in town and we had the opportunity to plant a garden of our own. We have 3 boys in the house and they're pretty expensive when it comes to feeding them. And so we thought maybe a garden would be a good way to offset some of the costs of food. And so we tilled up a pretty good section of ground, and then my son Gavin, he grabbed the potatoes and he said, "Hey Pops, let's go bury these." And I said, "You mean plant them?" And he said, "Yeah, let's do that." And it reminded me of some stuff I've actually read recently about this idea of planting versus burying. Planting looks an awful lot like burying in the beginning. You will dig a hole, you'll put something in it, you'll cover it back over, and it seems like it's buried. But if you would look at it from the perspective of planting, there is a hopeful assurance that we have that if this is fertile soil, if there's water, and if it's planted in the right season, then it will begin, with the pressure of the dirt on it, the seed will begin to break open. And even in the darkness, and even in the isolation, it will begin to send its roots down deep to find stabilization. Then it will begin to plant itself, will begin to search for the surface where it's going to find sunlight, ultimately how it's going to be fed and become healthy. There are seasons in our life where we deal with pressure, and we deal with breaking and searching and even darkness. And I can't help but wonder if maybe we would shift our perspective from feeling as though we've been buried underneath a mountain of paperwork or a to-do list, or we feel buried just by circumstances that are outside of our control. I wonder if we would shift our focus from that to maybe this is a season of God planting us. Maybe this is a season where we need to dig down deep with our roots into the Word of God and trust that His purposes and plans are bigger and better than we can ask, dream, or even imagine. And begin to search for the Son ourselves. Not the S-U-N, but maybe the S-O-N. Jeremiah chapter 17 and verses 7 and 8 tell us this. "Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in Him. They'll be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. Does not fear when the heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought, and it never fails to bear fruit." This is what it looks like when we root ourselves in the Son of God. It's in Him that we find hope, purpose, freedom, grace, mercy, forgiveness. At times it seems almost endless how good He is to us, even in the midst of our brokenness and darkness and even despair. When it feels like we've been buried, it's actually He's planting us for great things. I hope that's helpful to you, and I hope that is a shift in perspective that will bring you some peace this week. We'll see you next time. Bye.